The great father of the early church, Aurelius Augustine, famously called Jesus' cross the devil's mousetrap, and that the bait which caught Satan was the death of the Lord. Augustine understood well what Paul had written to the church at Corinth. None of the rulers of this age understood this, for if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. By inspiring the Jews and Romans to crucify Jesus, Satan cut his own throat. The law of unintended consequences went nuclear. Through the cross, the once-and-for-all sacrifice for sins was accomplished, setting God's people free from the condemnation and ultimate power of sin and its wages, death. As a perfect keeper of God's law, Jesus didn't deserve death, and so was soon vindicated by the Holy Spirit by way of the resurrection. This brought him forth as the firstborn from the dead and enabled us to follow, wreaking all manner of disastrous consequences on the kingdom of darkness. It put Jesus as a glorified man on the throne of heaven and earth and granted us sanctuary access, again with all manner of awesome benefits in our battle against the world, the flesh, and the devil. We could go on and on. But God plays fair. His blessings are always mirrored by corresponding curses. If the one who was a murderer from the beginning can, for example, get us to commit murder, then all Satan has to do is get out of the way and watch as God's holiness and corresponding wrath begins to burn. Make no mistake about it, the Lord's anger burns against the hands that shed innocent blood. When you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. And they have built the high places to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire. Therefore, the dead bodies of this people will be food for the birds of the air and for the beasts of the earth. Throughout the rest of his book, Jeremiah issues dreadful warnings about the judgments God was bringing against Israel for its sins, most notably the polluting of the land with innocent blood. These judgments were fulfilled in 587 BC when the Babylonians sacked and destroyed Jerusalem, taking the wretched people who survived the Holocaust into captivity. On September 11, 2001 AD, America froze in shock and disbelief as two planes took out the World Trade Center and 3,000 people died. Cries of anger and vengeance arose that propelled America into wars that continue to this day. Now, how do you think God feels when even more people die every day in America through abortion? And these deaths are not random acts of terror, but are instead calmly sanctioned by our courts, protected by our laws, and for the most part, ignored by the church that God has commissioned to be salt and light. How much longer do you think before the devil's mousetrap is fully sprung?